Hey, welcome back. It is a thirsty Thursday indeed, because I'm thirsty. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We're just about to get into it, start kicking it into high gear. We're in hour one, and we'll come to you live as we do every day, noon to 2 Eastern, from the Question Tequila Studios right here in downtown Manhattan. The markets continue to be on the upside today. Bulls are on the run, up 220 points. And people are saying that Trump has said he's going to personally go meet with the trade negotiator from China. And he's a master negotiator, so maybe the markets feel like, oh, okay, he's coming to the table. We're going to get something done. And the market's reflecting that, up 200 as we speak. And Bitcoin just middling around even today, up $5 on the day at 8,600. And up we go with our show today when we have a great guest like Michael Johns, who joins us today. He's one of the co-founders of the Tea Party, former speechwriter for George H.W. Bush, and the only person in studio today, or that we know really, that's been inside the White House. Mike, thanks for joining us for a Liquid Lunch today. You're the man. So you started one movement, and I know it's a bunch of people, but you always need like some guys to stick their neck out and be the voice or the face or something. You did that, and you really got on that role. And I think we need some kind of movement like that. Number one of my missions is to take back the 31 seats that we lost that are in Trump districts, so we get the House back. How did you even start the whole movement with the Tea Party? And then let's get over to how can we take that and build on it to keep this country where it needs to be?
Well, if you go back to 2009 and you think about the country that was around us at that point, you had Barack Obama, just recently elected president with a perceived mandate. You had the House in control of Nancy Pelosi, the Senate in control of Harry Reid, a very ambitious left-of-center legislative agenda. The media, of course, very liberal and sympathetic to all of those figures. Academia completely in that corner. So there was a lot of frustration out there. And I think in many respects, the Tea Party movement was a classic supply and demand phenomenon, in the sense that the American people were looking for a point of engagement politically, didn't really find that in the traditional Republican Party establishment, didn't find that really in their communities as much. And the Tea Party movement emerged from that, of course, following the famous Rick Santelli rant, which was sort of an incentive that brought all of us together on a telephone call. Quite honestly, none of us envisioned a movement that would transform the country as significantly as this has. But if you really go back and think about what are the accomplishments of the Tea Party movement, well, very quickly, 2010, we took back the House from Nancy Pelosi. That really blocked Obama's legislative agenda.
How is she still around? Like, how is she still around?
She's a big fundraiser.
The female version of the Tales from the Crypt guy. She's popping back up. She's like terrible.
Yeah, she is a big fundraiser for the Democratic Party. Probably their best player in the fundraising area. Not probably their best political figure, but money drives politics, and sadly, that's
she should get some new denture grip or something. Every time I see her talking, her teeth are chattering around. I feel like they're going to come flying out.
Well, if you think about it, you just go through. You have so we have the House is taken back, the Senate, then of course in 2014 with major victories, including individuals that ran as self-identified Tea Party Republicans, Ted Cruz in Texas. Marco Rubio in Florida.
What about that traitor, Morning Joe Scarborough? He thought he was part of the Tea Party movement. He turned out to be another traitor.
Yeah, well, the sad reality of any large political movement, there really is no barrier to entry, as anyone can sort of go out and do something in the name of the movement. But I think the success of our movement, and the reason that it ultimately has brought in millions of people into the political process, is its simplicity. Adherence to the Constitution, limited government, lower taxes. Those are things that really the American people understand. They were at the core of the frustrations with Barack Obama, and that incentivizes them to get engaged on a national level and on a local level.
Michael,
and I think, just as a final point, the rally-based phenomenon that we took within the Tea Party movement, of which Donald Trump actually spoke at one of our Tea Party events in 2011 in Florida, really paved the way for a populist campaign in the Republican Party, a populist Republican primary candidate. And, you know, in a lot of respects, I think built the momentum that ultimately has led to the victory of the president that we all fully support.
Mike, I want to pick your brain on a couple of issues of the day today, but just going back to wrap up the Tea Party front. You were sort of an unlikely leader of the Tea Party because you worked in not just the White House, but for President George H.W. Bush. If the establishment had a poster boy, it would be President Bush. Then you worked for a think tank, the Heritage Foundation, and for the 9/11 Commission with another very establishment Republican, Tom Kean. I'm wondering, what did you experience frustration with the traditional Republican establishment that led you to step out of that world and go to more of this guerrilla style, pitchfork populism of the Tea Party?
Well, I think politics itself transformed. So, if you look at my engagement, sort of beginning in the 80s and the 90s, while it was a partisan climate, it wasn't hardened partisanship. You could still make solid arguments, and if you won the debate, advance it. We don't really have that political culture in Washington, D.C. today. Frankly, what's happening is that you have each party sort of running things on a very politicized basis. Politics is the first, second, and third consideration, and that's created a lot of frustration among what you probably would label moderate Republicans in the 90s and whatnot, who have either left Congress or been defeated in Tea Party waves. So yeah, my own view on the tactics have evolved just to kind of meet, I think, what we're facing right here today, which is a very aggressive Democratic Party, very wedded to the left, socialist agenda essentially, and the need for us to be presenting a real aggressive alternative.
Before we run out of time, Michael, I know you've spent a lot of time studying and writing about foreign affairs, and I know your published areas of expertise tend to be Africa and the Third World, but I can't resist tapping into your expertise on Syria. The president's been getting a lot of criticism from Republicans about his decision to withdraw some special forces troops from northern Syria. People are saying this could lead to a massacre of the Kurds. What's your view?
Well, firstly, it's important to go back and think about this 2016 race and the fact that Trump ran on saying he would defeat ISIS and then bring our troops home.
Yes.
He defeated ISIS, obliterated ISIS, didn't really brag too much about it, did it quietly, aggressively, and thoroughly. So for the most part, the caliphate that existed within Syria, within Iraq, has been absolutely decimated. That's Donald Trump's victory. And he should be given great congratulations for it. Now the issue becomes, do we want to keep troops in Syria, essentially protecting a NATO ally in Turkey from a wartime ally in the Kurds? And the Kurds, it's important to realize, want an independent state in that region, which of course Turkey would never buy into. That becomes something that really is ultimately too complex. The Kurds have been good friends of America. Nobody wants to see them massacred. But the question ultimately becomes, and this is the question no one asks, how many American lives are you prepared to sacrifice to put yourself in between Turkey and the Kurds?
Zero.
Yeah, exactly. The number is zero. And, you've been around the White House, you've been in the Tea Party, you've been around this whole thing. So rare is it that a candidate actually gets elected and then starts ticking things off the list of promises they made. It's usually, it's all bull. And then once they get in, they just go back to whatever their agenda they want. And now Trump goes in there, I'm going to create jobs, lowest unemployment in 60 years. I'm going to create opportunity for African Americans, lowest African American unemployment. Barack Obama said, well, if Trump thinks he's going to get growth to 3%, he's going to need a magic wand. Somehow or another, he came out with a magic wand, and we're at 3%. Now he said, we're going to close our borders, we're going to protect our country, we're going to bring our troops home here and make our country safe. He's doing exactly that. This is the one issue where Democrats and Republicans agree on something, so Trump's onto something when they're both against him, that he's doing something right.
This president is running already in 2020 as someone who made very bold promises to the American people and delivered on them despite unbelievable institutional resistance inside the Beltway, including from his own party.
Michael, you got to come back the next time you're in New York.
He did,
absolutely, guys. I appreciate what Newsmax is doing. You guys are so
you're welcome here with us anytime. And the next time you come back, if you and Frankie are going to coordinate your outfits, I'd appreciate if I was in on the memo. You know what I mean? Here I am in tan, and these guys are in black, purple, and blue. But stay right there. The show's going to get even more black and blue after this because my favorite cowboy, Drew Taylor from the Wild West Crypto Show, is going to come on here, and we're going to beat it up some more. You stay right there. We'll take a quick break. Back after this.